alaikum. So for those who are listening for the first time, that translates Baro, 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 Nabab, Nathar, Muqtar, Holy, 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 Master, Overseer, Almighty, Na'ut, Muqdad, Baded, Patah, Na'ut, Muqlas, Baded, Yanun. No God except Patah, no Savior except Yanun. And then it goes on, I am inside the divine love of the all expanding, and all divine love is in me. In fact, let me do the Miss Bati as well. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashuk Empa Pa'ut. I am inside the divine love of the all expanding. Wu Kalal Ashuk Kawun Jawef Neya. And all divine love is in me. Anuki Kasamun Empa Pa'ut. I am a part of the all expanding. Wu Pa Pa'ut Kawun Kasamun Emneya. And the all expanding is a part of me. Anuki Wahu Ame Pa Pa'ut. I am one as the all expanding. Wu Pa Pa'ut Kawun Wahu Ame Neya. And the all expanding is one as me. Naku Kador Najor Ame Kasamun Empa Pa'ut. I can succeed as a part of the all expanding. Wu Khabub Ame Mushkasun, which is and fell as an individual person. Nakuk Kador Kawan Kalal Pafef Nakuk Arod Jawef Pa'ut. I can be all that I wish in the all expanding. Ame Wase Ame Aradni Kawun Laye Bakori Jawef Pa'ut. As long as my wish is to stay in the all expanding. Anuki Yabe Biye Nafashni. I am never by myself. Pa'ut Kawun Anuki. The all expanding is I am. Pa'ut Kador Nakuk Kador. The all expanding can, I can. Pa'ut Amul Nakuk Amul. The all expanding does, I do. Alright, so that's the affirmation that you heard when it was playing. So, without further ado, I want to welcome everyone to the class. My name is Saken Sakhamreye. I am one of the million student teachers of the Master Teacher all around the world. And as soon as you get turned on, switched on onto Wu-Sabat, you become a student teacher as well, because it's about each one teach one. So you share what you learn from the Master Teacher and you direct people to the books of the Master Teacher, because then the person that's reading the scrolls or listening to his recordings, or even like whatever way they come across Partner Babylon, they're able to make a connection with him directly. Yeah? So you don't have any intercessors between you and the man himself. I say the man, let me see if I can share my screen. I say the man, but he is actually absolutely more than a man. Can Mods look out for people who are waiting to join, because I can see someone waiting.
Sure.
All right. All I would ask of all of you today, kindly, is that you share the link on Clubhouse, on Zoom, wherever you're listening from. You know, help someone else. Right, so there you go, UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com. Very important that you take the time as a beginner, as a newcomer. You know, you should do your homework, you should research things, you should check things out. We encourage everyone to do so, because you have to make the decision for yourself ultimately in terms of what you get involved with, what you get into. All right. So today's title, to provoke thoughts, to intrigue you so you can ask questions, is Die to Live. That's the title of the class today. Right? Die to Live. We're going to talk a bit about that, then we will open up for questions from anyone about anything that we teach. Okay, so Die to Live. What comes to mind when you hear that title? And all the people in the room, if you would like to speak, we'll ask that you use the mic so that the people online can hear you clearly. Die to Live. Anyone? What does that come? What comes to mind when you hear that term? Go ahead, sis. Let me give you the mic.
Die to live
Yes,
to
it
me
picks you up perfectly.
is what is the definition of living. So living is you're living at your true purpose that God has created for you.
Mm-hmm.
So dying to the old self, the false self that we were raised with, maybe by family members or society, and then living for the truth.
Okay.
So it's hard to die on a human level to who you know yourself to be, to live for the higher spiritual self consciousness that you can't see is just a feeling of equilibrium,
Okay.
Peace at all level and health, good health.
Okay.
That's
Thank you. All right. So yeah, we're gonna just have to have people come closer. Okay. Anyone else online? Let's see if that picks up. Right, Yomi.
Can you hear me?
Is it Nathaniel? If you just hold and then come after Yomi. Go ahead, Yomi. Yeah, I can hear you.
I think dying to live is dying to your lower self, your base self, your lower self, like your negative aspects of your being, whether that be your negative emotions or behaviors or habits or addictions or anything that is not in line with your higher consciousness and state of being. So you sacrifice these things, you overcome them, and you die to those base lower desires in order to reach your true higher self. That's what I believe is.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Can I ask if someone is speaking, that if others can just mute their mic because we don't want to have the feedback. Okay. I think we had, was it Shannon? On Zoom? Nathaniel. Am I pronouncing your name properly?
Yes, Nathaniel, yes.
Nathaniel. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
The way I think is die to live is, my opinion is, when you raise up your consciousness and to the point where you leave your physical body and you live on with your soul. So that's how I think.
Okay. Appreciate your comment. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. You were all right, but the two, I think Yomi, I think you hit the nail on the head. The reality is we're all born, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was born at some point. If you weren't born, let me know how you got here, right? I'm born of a female, for that matter. So people call that the beginning or your start. You came here. And then at some point, you're going to die, right?
Yeah.
That's a reality.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, an atheist, scientist, doesn't matter who you are. Everyone accepts that you're born and you're going to die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's a beginning and an end. Now, we know in Wu-Sabat, by way of our teachings from Pana Babyan, the master teacher, that there is information. We know where you come from before you're here, before you're born here. We know this because we teach this. And we also know there is what people term afterlife, or you're going somewhere after you die, right? We teach that. And obviously we can go into that further, but the point is that from the moment you're born, you're aging, aren't you?
Yep.
So you're brand new that first moment. Everyone calls it your birthday, and then 12 months later you celebrate what you call your birthday, right?
Yeah.
But is it your birthday? Wu-Sabat, we get you to think about it.
It's not your birthday.
It's not your birthday anymore, is it?
No.
Because your birthday was the first time you arrived. So why do people?
Well, it is birth. It is the birthday.
Your birthday.
The day you was born on.
Okay, but it's not the day you're.
It's more like an anniversary of the day.
There's more than one meaning.
You're in tune. You're really in tune today, Yomi. That's the word I was going to say. It's your anniversary. You say more your anniversary, the anniversary of your birth. Because when you get married or whatever, you say the anniversary of the day you got married. You don't say it's the day you were married. But anyway, it's a small.
You can explain it more than one way. It's not one way to explain it. It is actually your birthday. The day you were born.
Can you say your birth date? DATE.
Could be the birthday
Rather
or
than
the day.
I don't think they can hear you anyway because that whole mic thing. But the point, I mean, it's a small point, but the point is that you're getting older, and if you're getting older, moving towards your end, because we already established the beginning is when you're born, and when you die is the end. So you're moving forward, aren't you? You're getting older every day, so you're actually dying. Because you're getting closer to your death, if you follow what I'm saying. So let's say you're born here and you call that 0, then the first year you were 1 year old, and let's say the end for you might be 70 years old, or 80, 90, whatever that is. So you're moving every day closer to your death.
Theoretically, yeah.
It's not theoretically.
No, it's...
You're moving. If you, let's take on average.
No,
Right.
the born to die is right. But
Born to die. No, you're dying to live. And I'm going to explain it because this is what we're taught in Wu-Sabat. Because what you call life is death, and what you call death is life. Because you're being born into a world where religious people will say you're going to heaven, there's no more pain, no more sickness, you're going to live forever, eternity, eternal, etc. So if you're going to be in a place where you're going to live forever, that means in that place you can't be aging to get to your death because you already died, right?
could be a different type of death.
Okay, we can play with semantics when you say different type of death, and the point is you're still gonna die, right?
Yeah.
And then when you die, what happens after that?
Nobody knows that.
No, don't say nobody knows that. Just because you don't know doesn't mean nobody knows. Because this is one of the things we do as humans. We base things around what we know. And if we don't know, we say nobody knows.
I've never seen anybody prove that.
Yeah, you just said you've never seen it.
Yeah.
So it's really based on what you know and what you believe and what you accept. But at the same time, right? Are you from a Christian background?
Everybody is, I think. 'Cause
See,
my
you're
friends-
assuming again. You just said everybody is.
Not
Not
everybody.
everybody.
Sorry. I was just about to say from Jamaica. Yeah.
Everybody from Jamaica is.
Yeah, because they were the ones who freed them from slavery. But they
Who-
had
who-
to be. They had to turn Christian.
You said they were the ones that freed them from slavery. Who are we talking about? Everyone from Jamaica is not
Church
Christian.
No, Baptist Church and Methodist Church. I think 80% of the parents at the time in the 80s were Christians, 70s and 80s,
Right, but what I'm saying is,
maybe 60s.
you can't speak for everyone.
In Jamaica, I'm talking.
Yeah, you can't speak for everyone in Jamaica either. You can only speak
Most
for.
of them then.
Huh?
The majority,
What do you call a majority or what do you call most of them?
over 60%.
How do you get to that figure? See,
Doc-
Wu-Sabat-
documents that were written from the Baptist Church and Methodist Church. And
But the Baptist Church and Methodist Church are not the authority. Just because they say so doesn't mean that it's true. But anyway, my point is made, right? That you're getting older every day. You're aging and going towards your death.
Yeah.
Right. So in Wu-Sabat, we know, and Panabab teaches us that when you come here from somewhere because you're energy, right?
Yeah.
Energy being. Everyone can agree. We try to use terms which everybody can agree on. So everybody agrees we're born. Everybody agrees that we so-called die. Everybody agrees that everything is energy. and energy cannot be destroyed.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So as an energy, you cannot die.
Yeah.
Now, when we bring religion into it, one of the things for newcomers, because I'm seeing we're also, I've got the Telegram open for our OSM Wu-Sabat Ask Us Anything Telegram group, where people can ask questions, and you know, we have many student teachers on there that are answering questions every day, and it was interesting today because there was a discussion, and my good brother, one of our brothers, Amunem, was saying to the person that was asking questions that Wu-Sabat gets you to learn how to think properly and to move from thinking properly to reasoning, because a lot of times people are speaking and they're not aware that they've been programmed or being programmed, that they're running programs that have been encoded in their being from birth. So it's important to learn how to reason. That's what Wu-Sabat does. It gets you to reason things out in a way that it makes sense. And if you're new, you may not be familiar with that, but we see this when new people join the Telegram group, and they're asking questions, or they're coming from a religious background, and then it takes us a long time to kind of like break the spell that they've been under, known as the spell of ignorance, the spell of sleep, the spell of Leviathan, the spell of Kingu. It has many, many flavors. So we have to break that spell first so that they can start to reason properly. Now, moving on our website, I'm still sharing it. This is our master teacher, the Black Messiah. Everyone's quiet.
What did you want us to say? You're still speaking.
Well, any comments? There's the Black Messiah. Go ahead, sis. But you might have to come close, because no? Okay. The Black Messiah.
What's the question?
There's no question. I'm just showing you the
You're
Black
saying
Messiah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can ask a question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What does it mean then? Because you're saying that everyone dies.
I'm not saying that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We all agree that everyone dies. So
But then there's a part in the Bible.
okay, now, yeah, go ahead. Let me let you finish your question. There's a part in the Bible
that Christians.
that
read,
Christians, yeah,
and they believe. What
I'm
it says in the
repeating
Bible-
because people can't hear you.
Ah,
Right?
yeah.
So go ahead.
What it says in the Bible that not all will die, but some will be caught up
Not all will die, and some will be caught up.
in the skies. It
Yeah.
says, but it does state not all will die.
Right.
And
Do you
I
have the
don't know if
verse quote?
no, not
Okay.
with that at all. But I know it's in
Right.
the
This is
Bible.
what I was saying at the beginning when I say the minute you go in the Bible, it says da 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 da. That's the programming. Because
Not that I believe it.
I know you don't believe it, but that's why when I put the Black Messiah up, because the whole point about this end that people are calling the end of their life, they told you that there's a Messiah that's going to come and save you, give you salvation, so that you will live forever, etc., etc. But the thing is, if you start to ask people who's the Messiah, because many people are waiting for a Messiah to come and save them. The question is, who is that Messiah? If
The Messiah to them is Jesus, isn't it?
right, the Messiah to them is Jesus, you say. To them, who's the them?
Christians.
To Christians. But the Muslims are waiting for one. The Jews are waiting for one.
Okay.
The wars are going on right now in Israel and Gaza. What's that all about?
Territory.
Why? Territory, yes. There's a book the Master put out many years ago called, if you all can see it, the real Messiah, right? Trying to see, make sure people can see it. The real Messiah. What does the word Messiah mean? In fact, before you answer, like I said, there, you see on the picture, there are many, many images. Let me see if I can put it up online. There are many images of what people claim. I'm actually, when I pause and you, sister, you're asking me why, what do I want people to say? It's because normally, people have a shock when they see a black Messiah.
Yeah, but you never
And
said
I'm surprised nobody was shocked.
Yeah, but you never said all.
I'm not.
You said people, but you
I'm
know
not
it's
sure.
not all.
Sorry, who was that speaking online? Hey, Robert. Yeah, you're not shocked. Good. I'm glad you're not shocked. Right, there you go.
Yes.
There's a picture of the book. I'll just put it online so people can see. These people are they're selling it. So people have been bootlegging our stuff. But yeah, I don't know if you all can, let me see if I can make it even bigger. Search an image. I've got this new computer and it's just got its own way of doing things, but I hope you all can see that. The real Messiah. Right, so you can see different images, how do I get back, of people that people may consider to be the Messiah. Now everyone's waiting for this Messiah, but they don't know who to look for.
You see, you said everybody's waiting.
Well, I
And
know.
you put
All
me
right,
on
you got me. When I say everyone, I'm talking about religious people.
No, you pulled me up when using the word everybody.
All right, okay, you got me. I
Okay.
get it. I got it. I took it. All right, that was an assumption. But they're not expecting this one. So it's like they're expecting a white person, white-looking person.
Not these days.
Not these days. So when did it
That
change?
ended probably when All Eyes in Egypt opening for Brixton, which is back that'd be like 20
That's
years
us.
ago
That's
now.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying before the master put out pictures. So someone would you like to speak? If not, could you mute your mic, please? Yeah. So every race has a Messiah in the Bible. Let me just ask: how many times or how many Messiahs do you think are in the Bible?
I only know one.
You only know one.
There's three, isn't there?
You know three.
Well,
Okay.
assuming.
Right. You're assuming? Two. Okay. There's 1,300 messiahs in the Bible. There are women that are messiahs in the Bible.
Can you break that down further?
Because people have been given the wrong programming on what a messiah is. The word messiah means anointed. So there were many people that were anointed in the Bible.
What's been
But
What's been anointed?
what's been anointed, right? Most of what you read in the Bible comes out of stories from ancient Egypt, because it's a ritual that took place where it's like the simplest way to explain it. It's like you see when, say, a president is being sworn in. That's an anointing, or like they're carrying a ritual to accept the position of being in that position. So it's a ceremony in ancient Egypt of someone that was being given responsibility of being in a high place. And I'm saying like there were many, there's like, as I said, 1,300 anointed messiahs, including females that you never hear about. And that's will be one of those. We actually have, if I can find it. In fact, yeah, let me see, it might have been here. But the point I'm making is that the real Messiah, everyone, if every race can have a Messiah, why can't we have one? And if we can't have one, that means you're telling me I have to accept that someone else is coming to save me other than someone in my likeness. But the real Messiah is here. As you see, it says here, returning to you all. He is returning to you all. And I put this up because you can actually ask questions. So when you click on it, it takes you to this page, Q&A with Yanun. Yanun, Parnabab Yanun, he's here. He's the master teacher. He's the black Messiah for this day and time. And there's a reading here called Unto Us a Savior is Born. If you have not read that yet, I encourage you to go and read it. And there are other readings here. This is a very, very interesting one, the heart seat. There's another one, the religions, the mystery God, the immigrants, what is God, questioning the master teacher Yanun, and did you know? Each one of these, you can just click on the link and read it. And if you have a question for him, you can type it in here and submit it. I'm saying this because going back to the topic of you died to live, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you had many people, right? All the people you see in this world that came along and were claiming to be the one. The ones that are leading the way, the ones, oh, here you go, let me read a bit of this. So, going back to the anointing, I'm skipping around, but I will come back. So, let me read this. It says, are the Christians awaiting a Messiah? Okay, let me go back. Yeah. It says, question, do the Jews believe that a Messiah will return? Answer, no, but they do believe one is coming. Right? See the difference? They don't believe one is returning, but they believe one is coming. So when I was saying about what's going on in Gaza, they're clearing that land because they want to rebuild the temple. They say Solomon's temple, but they're really rebuilding the temple to receive a Messiah, not our Messiah, but a Messiah that they believe is coming, right? According to Judaic beliefs, they believe that a personal Messiah, a descendant of the house of David, son of Ishmael, Jesse, will come to redeem mankind on earth. Orthodox traditional Jews still accept this belief. Conservatives and Reform Jews now speak of a Messianic kingdom of justice. Kingdom, remember that word, kingdom of justice. Many of them believe that Jesus of 2,000 years ago was the designated Messiah who was sent to the house of Israel. Some of their reasons, as recorded by the Talmud, the Talmud is a collection of writings constituting the Jewish civil and religious laws, are as follows. On top of the dome of the rock, and then, skip something, as follows. 1, they believe it could not have been Jesus, son of Mary, because their Messiah was expected to come from the land of Judea, as opposed to where Jesus, son of Mary, came from. As opposed to where Jesus, son of Mary, came from, which was the city of Nazareth. You can refer to Yochanan or John 1, verse 45 to 46. 2, in the recordings of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they interpret the birth of Yeshua, Jesus of 2,000 years ago, as an immaculate birth, and the tribe of Judah thought their Messiah would descend from the seed of the prophet David or David. Because of this, they excluded the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, as the Messiah. 3, they believed that when their Messiah came, he would restore the kingdom of Israel, right, like the Messiah of the past. A mission they clearly believed and insisted that the Messiah Jesus had rejected. You can read that in Acts 1, 6, and in John 18:36. Despite the use of the Old Testament to support their position, no Judaic of Jesus' day would have expected the Messiah to die a horrifying death as the cross. Okay? So the pale Jew does not believe in the New Testament or anything in it concerning Jesus, son of Mary. The New Testament is disregarded as unauthentic by the pale Jew. However, most pale Jews do believe that Jesus was a prophet, Messiah, Savior, and definitely no God in the flesh. They are awaiting the coming of the Messiah, which they predict will be in the year 2000 AD, which has come and gone. Right now, let's look at what the Muslims believe, or their view on the return of the Messiah. The exact same as the Christian. One account of the Mohammedans' view concerning the return of the Messiah, Jesus, Yahshua, can be found in a book called Nuzul Essa, Dissensions of Jesus by Maulana Saeed M.B. Alam. The cover of this book displays a picture of the dome of the rock with ladders alongside it, suggesting that the Messiah Jesus will return and land on top of the dome of the rock, and then will be held to the ground by way of a ladder. First of all, the dome of the rock is not in Damascus, it's in Jerusalem. Second, it's stupid to think that he would need a ladder to help him down part of the way, when by then he would have already descended a great distance from the heavens. You follow? Right, so Muslims around the world are waiting for the Messiah's return, according to their predictions, which is based on a 1,400-year-old hadith. Hadiths like the Talmud are traditions and writings of men, fairy tales men made up, that says the coming of the Messiah is closer than the distance between your two fingers. It was prophesied in another hadith by way of Ahmad, Muhammad, son of Amina and Abdullah, that the son of Mary would descend to break the cross. And this is the hadith, how it goes. Narrated by Abu Huraira, Allah's apostle said, by him in whose hands my soul is, son of Mary, Jesus, will shortly descend amongst you people, Muslims, and will judge mankind justly by the law of the Quran, as a just ruler, and will break the cross and kill the pig and abolish the jizya, a tax taken from the non-Muslims, who are in the protection just need to see who that is, who are in the protection of the Muslim government. Then there will be abundance of money and nobody will accept charitable gifts. So you know that's like one of the 5 pillars in Islam, you've got to give zakat. So the Messiah Isa, as they call him, Jesus, as they call him, is spoken of more in the Quran than any other great teacher. So where do the Mohammedans get off stating that they do not read the Bible when their book, the Quran, is mostly based on Jesus? All right, now let's go to the Christians. The Christians are awaiting a Messiah also. Are they? Yes, definitely yes. The Christians believe that the Messiah Jesus will return in the form of the rapture. He will return in a cloud from heaven. The entire Christian world has been waiting for the rapture and the return of their Christ. They teach that Jesus, who died on the cross almost 2,000 years ago, is going to resurrect from a dead state and return as their Savior. And when he returns, he's going to have the same physical body with the same features as he did when he died almost 2,000 years ago. This is not a resurrection. This is reincarnation, which Christians claim is strictly a Hindu belief. Resurrection merely means to get up or rise from a dead state of life, while reincarnation means to recompose into the same physical body or return in another body. The word for resurrection in the Greek language is anastasis and means rising, standing. The word in Syriac Arabic is qiyam. So you hear yama qiyam when they talk about the day of judgment, and means to rise, to get up, to stand. To this day, there are hundreds of images of the Jesus who Christians say will return. Let me do a Google search. so we can see. If you just type Jesus in Google and we look at the images, you see? Will the real Jesus please stand up? And as you can see, recently, for those who have been following like news, you know, you had Putin showing you about Black Jesus. It was a big thing about Black Jesus. But look all the images we're looking at here. You really don't see. So this is what, these are the amount of images, right, that you can pull by just typing Jesus. So no wonder no one knows or can tell you who is going to come, where, when. But let's keep going. So it says, to this date, there are hundreds of images of the Jesus who Christians say will return in the last days as the anointed Messiah or Savior. So which image of Jesus will be the resurrected Jesus, and how much longer will it be before he returns? Because Christians have been teaching this same doctrine that Jesus is going to return since the so-called crucifixion 2,000 years ago. 2,025 years ago now. So where did the term Messiah originate? This is what I was going to say to you, my sister, about the ceremony, right? When we examine the origin of the word Messiah, we find that the word Messiah is the English transliteration of the Aramaic Hebrew term Mashiach, which means anointed, and comes from the root word Mashak, which means to smear, to rub with oil, to anoint. Originally, the term Messiah referred to the way a person was designated for an important position, or the way an object was to be honored by wiping, smearing, or anointing it with oil in what was the ancient equivalent of a swearing-in ceremony. In time, the term anointed, or the title Messiah, became synonymous with prophets, kings, and high priests, and emphasized the fact that Yahuwah had designated them for their office. According to Smith's dictionary, or the definitionary of the Bible, they were confirmed in their office by the anointing of oil, both in Egypt and in Palestine. It went on to say that anointing the eyes denoted a spiritual recovery of sight, knowledge of divine truth. The bodies of the dead were also anointed with spiced oil. It's important to know the history and the practices of the people in the ruling that were ruling in David's time, then you can better understand how the title anointed came not only to him, but to those that were in other authoritative high places as well. The fact that you have little understanding, if any, of the lifestyle of that day and time is the missing link to the truth that will take you from falsehood to facts, and from mistranslations to right translations. Yeah? So it goes on, what is the anointing ceremony? I'm going to stop after this. This ceremony was first practiced by the ancient Egyptians, and later it became a Judaic practice. All right. In each religious sect, you will find some practices that can be traced to some form of ancient mythology. What most people are unaware of is that there were many messiahs mentioned in the Holy Scriptures, and it goes on to explain the point of the scroll, to go through fact by fact, showing you the whole plot and how it got desecrated and mistranslated till today, where people don't know who they're expecting. But I've just shown you he's here with healing in his wings, and you can find this in Malachi chapter 4 verse 2. And today in the UK, for those of you not in the UK, it's been very, very hot. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
And it's going to get hotter and hotter. This is what people refer to as the sun cycle.
Okay.
And it says in Malachi chapter 4, the Son of Righteousness will return with healing. A lot of us need to be healed. and he's here. Been here since the opening of the Seventh Seal in 1970. So a lot of us are here thinking we're living, but we're dying. Like you said, eating the wrong foods, being in the wrong places, wearing the wrong clothes, wrong fabrics, speaking the wrong tones, and literally killing ourselves. And the industries don't help because of what they're programming you to do. So the real Messiah is here. The black Messiah is here. And when we say black Messiah, it's only because he's black. But a Messiah is for anyone who is willing to be cured and anointed. And we've been doing that as the ones that he has anointed. God himself has come to raise more gods, but it's down to you as a being, because funny, you were saying to my brother earlier on how you end up to be here today, sis. I just heard a little bit. You said that.
Yeah.
What, can you just repeat what happened?
I normally go in my living room to cream my skin, and
Yeah.
I like to watch YouTube at the same time because I multitask, learn at the same time. So I always put something on. So when I turned on YouTube, you was there. So I'm thinking, who's that?
Right.
And how did you get on my screen?
And
I hadn't Googled you or nothing like that, so I didn't know why you was there. So I thought, okay, let me just watch it because I always believe in that.
right. So for those who can't hear the sister too well, she was saying that, I'm paraphrasing, she normally creams herself in the front room. For those who are not black people cream ourselves when we come out the bath because you get ashy skin if you don't. And that ties into our whole reptilian nature, which we may go into. But yeah, we cream ourselves. So she was creaming herself, and she normally watches YouTube, and she said that a video of me just popped up. And I don't find that strange because many people have said that have come to Wu-Sabat, or the Master's Teacher's videos popped up.
Yeah, so I was thinking,
And what I'm saying is, when we're dealing with
why
anointing
that way come up?
and the Messiah, yeah, of course, the algorithms would suggest things to you based on what you view and what you watch and so on and so forth, right? But there's also, when I said the anointing, like Bob Marley said it best, there's a natural mystic that's moving through the air.
No, I know what it is now. I'm just
And
thinking.
yeah, and when you're vibrating on a particular frequency or that energy, or you're looking or you're searching or you're asking, it's energy, right? So
Yeah, it's energy,
it's gonna
yeah.
find that resonance, and you
Yeah.
will be plugged into where you need to be and where you need to go, and then that's how you find the Master Teacher and how you find Wu-Sabat. And this is happening worldwide now, and it's no coincidence because we are in this day and time where people that want truth, doesn't matter what color skin you are, it's about that mental state, that vibration, that yearning, that calling out to know. You want to be saved, you want to know the truth, you want to find like what's going on this planet, you know, so you will be guided. You also have your ancestors, going back to the point about die to live. Your ancestors that have already crossed over. So we don't say die because, as I said, we know energy cannot be destroyed. You cross over from one realm to the next realm. There are many realms, right?
Yeah.
And you can exist on a realm. But the whole journey, that's why I said at the beginning when I said that even though we know you're born and you so-called die, for us, we know that if you have a soul, I say if you have a soul, because not everyone has a soul. And you may have a soul, but it's not activated. So it might as well be dead if it's not being used, right? So the anointing, the Messiah comes to activate and turn you on, turn on that real light within you, that's the real you, the being that's inside that wants to find its way home. And your ancestors that have already crossed over, they also are in another dimension or realm, and they're trying to help you find your way home. And some of them are trapped, and they're relying on you to help them cross over, because once you know, you can then help them when you get there, right? So we have agreeable and disagreeable ancestors in our DNA, in our genetics. And when I said to read that the heart seat. In fact, I might read it. I can see, yeah, let me read it because it's so crucial. So remember, you go to the United Sabians Worldwide website, unitedsabiansworldwide.com, and you can click where it says the Black Messiah, and it says here, click to get your questions answered.
Okay.
Going back to what I was saying, in the 90s, 60s, where you had all these people that were claiming to be the one, the Messiah, and that's including our people too, where you had many people, you know, that were claiming to be the one. And today, where are they all? None of them are still able to be here. None of them are giving you information about what's happening. What happened, like this, I picked this up today, it's called The Mark of the Beast. Right? This is one of the bulletins that we had. This was published in 1993. Yeah, edition 12, 1993. In this, all that's going on today, the master teacher was talking about. And anyone who's been around that long, look, talking about, in fact, I'm jumping around, but I am, I'm going to go back to the stuff I'm leaving. Mark of the Beast. It says, imagine being identified by the very veins in your hands, or just by the numbers on that credit card you've become so dependent on. Now, step a little further into your imagination and just think about how it will feel to be watched every single move you make. Your personal history, how much money you make, etc., traced and recorded. Well, you can stop imagining and step back into reality, because all of this is happening and more. The intention of this article is to prove to you, Hittites, Ethiopian, Kushite, dark and light brown, woolly-haired people, that you're living in a world that is being taken over by Halal, Samael, son of Shakar, Tarnush, and Maelita. Big Brother is the name coined for a highly centralized power of control, the government. This is how you're being watched. Devices such as cable TV, infrared scanning devices, not only a supermarket, ISBN, International Standard Booking Number. Goes on and on, but what I'm saying is, he was telling us about images, everything about where we are now in 1993. In fact, before that, but this bulletin is published in 1993, and here was talking about what's going on today. So, going back to what I'm saying, that in the 60s, you had all these leaders, all these people that were claiming to be the Messiah and the way and the ones that knew where they were going. And today, none of them are available or able to give you the opportunity to, like, hey, click to get your questions answered about anything you would like to know about where you came from, why you're here, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, and where you're going, and how you're going to get there, and what's going to happen when you get there. And I know you said earlier on, sister, that no one knows. He knows. And he has proved it.
He knows. Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we're saying that.
So what's his name?
He's known by many titles there, because names are titles, but he's known by the name Dr. Malachi Z. York.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. From the 60s, 70s, he opened the 7th seal and has been teaching all the information that.
The symbol there, the 7.
Yeah, but that's him in that poster as well.
Is that what the Nature Islam where they only got a 7 Nature Islam?
What 7 are you looking at?
That's the 5%, isn't it?
Yeah, but
No,
that
the
just
7
shows
at
you.
The one at the top.
We've got some members of Nature Islam where 7.
Yeah, that's right. Because that symbol is showing you that it's bringing everyone together to one family, regardless of what background you come from. Yeah. So all those symbols relating to the different schools of religion, as well as to where we are now. All right. So the whole point of today's class, in terms of die to live, like yeah, Yomi said it best as well. You've got to. I know that YouTube flag things, but I'm sure we'll figure out how to edit it. But you've got to kill that negative being, the disagreeable, the programming, like my brother was saying. Like, in order for you to live, you need to get rid of the things that are killing you, because it's speeding up your death. right? So that's why we're here as student teachers of the master teacher, to guide you and direct you to the books. And people always ask about the books, because the books, as I said, is a direct connection between you and him. Direct connection. Not this, come to me as the preacher, imam, rabbi, and then they will tell you and interpret for you. Why do you need to go to them when you can go straight? So it's really about you and your soul, and whether or not you really want to hear what this angel has to say while he's here. And he explains it in this book here. It's called The 24 Elders. Right, the 24 Elders goes into who and what. Let me just read a little bit from it. Oh yeah, when I was saying the chant at the beginning, that's our language, of course, so we always interpret for those who are new to Wu-Sabat. So it says, Le'ankum, for you all, this is Parnababyanun, known also over time as Atumbreye, and I am speaking to the selected elders who round about my throne as the center, right? So he's the center of Put, and you have these 24 elders, which these stories get copied and then you find them in your religious books without really knowing the authentic or origin where they're taking that from. 24 in all, for the hour is in day and shadow hours. 12 Ashashat females and 12 Yashat males as our timekeepers for the next 24,000 years. 24 beings with the one's supreme being, each who have reached the physical age, earth age of 54, up until the loss of reason. Right? So in our culture, you're an elder when you're 54 years old. This Kawat planet is called Sector 24. It is based on that number and is locked between the numbers 26 for the precession of 26,000 years for the new axis of the planet and the equinox of 24,000 years. 5. The time when the sun crosses the equator, which relates to the planet's circumference, the line or belt around the planet, which is equal to 24,896.6 miles, just as time of the day is 24 hours. So, 6. The planet equals 1 mile to equal 1,000 years of the 24,000 years to 1 hour, and the creatures or first humanoids grown on this planet have 24,000 genomes. 7. So 24 of them are used to record the future of this race of sun-heated genes, the Nagar-U-Salat Negroid race, the first world beings, and every 24,000 years, 24 elders renew our story for the next upcoming 24,000 years. One cycle of 4 6,000 year cycles. The last 6,000 year cycle ended in the year 2000 AD from 4000 BC because of its contraction and expansion caused by heat, changed by the sun, and cooling by the moon. 9. The 24 is 12 males, Khabat stars, and 12 females, Yarahat moons, and 1 center, Shamash sun. The 24 Mugdalu elders are called scientists. They are chosen to record our own story of rules of living by once every 24,000 years, and is chosen by a supreme being, the wisest among them in human form, a timekeeper, 24 hours a day, 24 ha-u, 1 minute. See the word ha, where they get hours from, minute, where they get min, and nut from. So minute, you're saying min nut. 24,000 years to bring about one complete renewal of our upcoming future. All right, and the axis being 23 and a half degrees related to our pairs of chromosomes. 23 plus 23 equals 46 chromosomes. This relates to the 24 Mugdal elders. Use Patarak to record Sabat, the pathway through the wormhole, or Sarat, the filament, to the next dimension if followed by Nuwapians, Project 24 Earth. Others also have 24,000 genomes, yet most of theirs is junk DNA, not used. Only the Nagar Negroid race has the ability to activate and use all 24,000 genomes and become one omniverse again. All is I am. That's why I was saying in the beginning, in the chart. The humanoid race or Negroid soul weighs 24 grams. I am in the love of all, and all love is in me, as the all. Each 24 elder can and will lose their seat if they violate Patarak, the way, or their mind, or health, or reason. You know, so it goes on to explain about the purpose of the 24 elders that are chosen by him. But yeah, so when I'm saying people that are no longer here, there's only Partner Babyanun from the 60s till now that he's still here answering all your questions. Where's all the other guys? Where's everyone else? Where are the people to guide you and tell you what to do, what's going on in the world? There is no one else. And when you start to read the books like The Nine, he's telling you about meteorite that's going to hit the planet. He's telling you about things that are not yet, that are going to happen, that are not happened yet. So, do you want to die to live? Or do you want to live to die? So we want to live. You want to live on, don't you? Because if your soul and your being is not, if you don't clean yourself inside out, if you don't perfect your being, if you don't put Wu-Sabat into action, you're not going to make it. Many are going to die. You can see what's going on in the world right now. It's getting peak because people are dropping missiles on people like this, and everyone's just carrying on like it's normal. This is not normal behavior. It's normal at all. So we have to basically transform ourselves and turn ourselves inside out. He says that those beings that are spiritual can re-inherit a body. Because this is just a skin suit.
Reincarnation?
No, reincarnation, that's what I'm saying. Like, again, the language is what throws people up. Because when you're saying reincarnation, you're not really hearing the word cardinal, or like, it's kind of saying you're coming back in the same body, which never happens. Yeah, because your body rots and goes to the ground. You can't reanimate. Well, you can if you know the technology as our ancestors, who obviously that's why they did like the preservations with the mummies and all of that, because they wanted this day and time to come where the Europeans were going to dig them up, take the DNA, and they can reanimate. But in terms of you coming back in that same physical body that you're in, that's an impossibility. That's why it doesn't make sense to say that Jesus that died 2,000 years ago is going to come back looking the same way. Or when people talk about heaven and they say you're going to go and live forever, and they describe heaven in a physical way, but it doesn't make sense because you can't remain in the same body. Like if you're a baby, you're going to remain a baby once you pass on at that age. Do you follow me?
I didn't know reincarnation meant the same body. I thought you reincarnated somebody else.
That's what I'm saying, but who's done that?
I know that's because I hear about reincarnation. So when you say people don't act normal, that's not reincarnation. That's some.
No, you can't. I'm saying you can't come back in that exact same physical body that you
No,
have.
I wouldn't have thought you would.
Yeah,
But I'm saying
but that's what the word when they're saying it, cardinal. It's like you're coming back in the same body. But that's not what we mean when we're teaching about reincarnation.
Okay.
But people believe that, you know. And but yeah. Anyway, so like I said, the titles are really for provoking your mind, getting to stir that soul. If you still have one, if you don't, we have to activate it. Get you back, and then you can be on the path of Wu-Sabat. So I'm going to open up for any questions from anyone regarding what we teach. And if you are going to quote one of our scrolls, it's important to give us the title, the page, the verse, so that we can follow and then break it down for you. Are there any questions? Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, so it would be the symbol over the Messiah. Could you explain the different symbols in there and what that means?
Yeah, let me see if I can find, because if not, I'll have to come.
Why you put them there?
The symbols, we put them there, that's a pull-up banner. We put them there because people are coming from different walks of life.
So those are ones you respect?
No, it's not what we respect, it's that we're bringing everyone together. And so, I'm trying to find the scroll. We're bringing everyone together, and someone will look at that symbol. It's like, if you look at all our books, there are always many symbols, because a picture tells 1,000 words. Someone only needs to look at that symbol and they'll relate to it. So if you look at the symbols that the master teacher put out, he had the crescent. Yeah, we had the 6-pointed star with a crescent.
What is the green one?
Yeah, but it has an ankh in the middle. Yeah.
Okay.
That he explained at the time he was teaching us religion. So a Muslim will only need to look at, you see the star? Look, you see that red one?
Yeah.
The 5-pointed star with the crescent. That is a symbol that the Muslims will look at and it will draw their attention.
Yeah.
But then you have the 6-pointed star where the Jews will draw their attention.
Which one, the black one or the green one?
But there are two types of 6-pointed stars. There's an interlocking 6-pointed star, which is the one the Jews have, but you can't see it on there. And then you'll have what people will look at and say, oh, that's a 6-pointed star. When we had it, but if you look closely, it is actually, you can see the pyramids. It's a number of pyramids put together. You can see the 2 main pyramids, up and down, so as above, so below. But then you see like the smaller pyramids around it, because what the master was doing all the time was always connecting us back to our roots in ancient Egypt and beyond. So the symbols will draw people's attention because the interlocking, see if I can put it up. If you look at the Jews' star, because you know why? A lot of our people are stuck in these schools of religion. And so it's like the gathering of all those people who are really about truth into one place. See, look, you see, can you see this one here? These ones there. That's an interlocking 6-pointed star, which is different. But it was a symbol that the devil's attracted to because of the number 6, and it was the same symbol denoting how the devil will be trapped. Because when you look at it, you're seeing, as I said, if you look carefully, they're like 6 pyramids. You can see the 3 on the top and the 3 at the bottom. And then you see that there's like a pentagon, a hexagon in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will attract them, but we use that to trap the devil because we have to, in terms of using the spell that was cast on you, you have to kind of reverse that spell. But yeah, it's really, if you look at the other one, Circle 7, that deals with like Morris Science Temple, the various different schools, organizations that were, like I said, were around at the beginning, at the time when Master Teacher came on the scene. Like many of them are no longer around today. As we get to this new cycle, yeah, so that's what it is. It's a matter of saying to everyone, no matter what side or life or path you came from, it leads you. It should, if you're following the right path, it will lead you to Wu-Sabat, because all of those teachers told their followers to look out for this person that was going to come. Like in case in point with the Nation of Islam, for example. Don Elijah Muhammad told them who was going to be the person for them to look out for and move and follow.
Did he? What did he say?
He talked about the master teacher coming, the person that's going to come with the book of the Lamb, and he's going to come with a new song, a new Arabic. That's what he said, but we know that's the Misbatia language. And he was going. The book of Lambs is the holy tablets, which is this book here, and many things that were prophesied that he will do, that he has done. He's the only person that has been able to do them. But anyway, it's about you today. In terms of like your questions, in terms of your salvation, and there's a book called The Bridge to Salvation, which he has put out recently. Oh, there you go. And that's important because remember that. Always keep that in mind. What I said. You got the beginning and the end, as they say, the Alpha and Omega, or you're born and then you're gonna die, as they call it. But in between that, you are being misguided or given misinformation or mistranslations or being programmed so you don't make it to your destiny or your destination. And so the bridge to salvation, we are that bridge to salvation. Again, look, that's where I got it, that's where it's taken from, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to read it. So as you can see, our symbol is right in the middle with the sun. That's what you're seeing, that yellow ball, that's the sun. And then you have the Ankh Tui in the middle, which is this symbol here. Because most people are familiar with the Ankh,
Yeah.
but the Ankh leads you to the Ankh Tui, because whenever something comes, a lot of people gravitate to it, even if they don't know what it means, they just wear it for fashion. But it's the key to life, but there's different types of life. So when we're saying you die to live, this is what we're saying. When you're given a cross, right, and you're told that somebody died on the cross for your salvation or for your sins, so that sins will be removed from the world. But the reality is that correct? Is that true? No, because there's still sin in the world and people are still sinning, right? So they've taken that from the Ankh, but the Ankh means that key to life. You see? But then when you're born and you're led astray, Rahubat, you're born and you're led astray, you then have to be brought back to the right path. So this is where the Antui is that double resurrection, where you're now being born again. That's why I started the class of showing you the Black Messiah, because that's what he's here to do, to give you that life and wake you back up. But let me read some of this. So then you got obviously the lion with that's the Rastafarian. You have the Al-Mahdi dealing with the Shriners. I already spoke about Circle 7. Then you've got the 5% Nation. Yeah, so it's basically the symbol to redeem us and wake you back up and give you that double resurrection. So let's read some of it. The Bridge to Salvation. Antkum gasul katatkum lakay nator fi shalel wasak ajuf lane akalkum shalel wasak. You wash your body to clean it of filth. Now he's saying clean also your mind of filth. The Bridge to Salvation 1. Aliyah mumrar mukradu shalel Wu-Sabat ankum adir pa mitzar laye pa mukradu shalel pa taklos. My beloved children of Wu-Sabat, you are the bridge to the children of the salvation. 2. Pa Munbab Yanun have incarnated with Pa Shafei, the cure to the people's ignorance, with Wu-Sabat, and you, the children of Wu-Sabat, as Musbatu, Sabians, are Pa Mudmalu, the doctors, right? The Mublahu, the messengers, Pa Muklasu, the saviors. 3. Take this Shafei cure and break the spell of Kingu, Leviathan. 4. You in the 1600s living in the West were called Wabanaki, Native Americans, which became many sub-tribes such as the Yamasee, which means the gentle one, or gentle from the old ones, from the stars, and Nazasi. I am antique. 5. Musbatu, Sabians, Napatan, Nuapians, the African black people, originals of the Musnan or Sans people of South Africa, who spread the world over. 6. Yet those that remained in the motherland, Africa today, were taken into other Rasayat lands, first by the Muarabu Arabs of the Marabia, Arabia, next the Mulrabu, the Europeans of the Merapia, Europe, and then to Amaria, America, to be in bondage for 400 years. 7. Yet that time has ended, and so must end the Akkad beliefs and Fakut faith. They were programmed to believe. So basically, this is the time for the beliefs to end, and that programming that you were programmed to believe. 8. The religious mind spell binding of the slave masters of the Muamaru reds and the Mulbanu whites, Musfaru yellows, Edomites, and Muarabu Arabs, and the Muadamu Adamites, Kakasnadu Caucasoid, the tribes Wabanaki, Wapanui, Monwapu, Yamasee, and Nasazi, Musbatu Sabians were all the same, originating from Napata in Africa, from Ghana's Iwi tribe, Akan clan, and Liberia's Bassa tribe, as well as others found today in what is called Africa, and the Dongolawe tribe of Mastan or Sudan. Yet now unite all these into one people as Musbatu Sabians of Wu-Sabat, and save the children, the bridge to your salvation. 11. I am a triune in one being, united in Trinity, indivisible as an incarnate deity. 12. I am Yanun, Yanan, Yanun, Min, Gish, Zida, Melchizedek. 13. I am Isa, Al-Hadi, Al-Makki, Al-Qadir. I am Malachi, Zed Kobinu, York, Okran, Dr. York. I was known as the Tahuti. 12. 16. I was known as Amun Nabab Reye Akakata, Amun Nubi Re Akata, Amun Nubi Ruakata. I exist from eternity to infinity. I am with you always. This is your salvation, Pa Karuk, the way, Pa Sawat, the truth. 19. Wu-Sabat, Pa close, the salvation. I, Pa Munbad Yanun, am the salvager of my people and all others who are willing to accept these actual facts. Wu-Sabat. So I hope that's clear. So he's that salvager. You know what to salvage means? To salvage something.
To put together.
So yeah, very good, very good.
To destroy and put together. Is it to break something down and then put
To
it
reclaim, to reclaim. You know, like if you go to a pawn shop
Mm-hmm.
and you put something there, and they give you some money,
Mm-hmm.
and then later on you go back to reclaim it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to salvage it, or like rescue it, or take it back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what's been done with us worldwide right now. Those who listen, it's not. It says every race has been sent their own warner, and you hear the statement: the first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. This is our time, and our warner is here, the Black Messiah, and he's come to salvage us. And he says, I'll read it again, because other people who are true, who are sincere, can also receive the salvation, because he says, I, Parmun Babyanun, am the salvager of my people, and all others who are willing to accept these actual facts. Wu-Sabat. So anyone who's willing to accept Wu-Sabat. In fact, I feel like, let me read a little bit more, because it's so interesting. So I'm going to read from 21. Panen kawun pa pako shalel pa tarok layet taklus lahe musbatu. Translation. This is the opening of the way towards salvation for Sabians. 22. Musbatu, Sabians. Know this. Wu-Sabat is the authentic way towards salvation, which is inspired. 23. So declare it to whomever, wherever, and do not fear anyone who may retaliate against this doctrine, Wu-Sabat, this proclamation of truth. 24. It is a victorious guidance which shall bring to naught the fictions, legends, tales, myths, kadab lies, and cover-ups of Adamites, attack at religions of 6,000 years. 25. And the abuses and injustices with the hakat actual facts of Wu-Sabat. The straight way for those who accept and repent and return to who they are, not what they became. This is a very important verse, 27. Moreover, Wu-Sabat and Musbatu Sabians will completely demolish the weak structures of blind faith and fake ahad beliefs with the Sahih Rakuk, Sahih Hakundum, Sahih Fahum, correct right knowledge, knowing right wisdom, right understanding, which raises you to Sahih Fahum, right overstanding, which becomes Jamed Sahih Nakash, sound right reasoning. Alright? I don't want to feel like I'm preaching to you guys, so let me take questions. Go ahead, brother.
I have a question. You talked about reincarnation.
Yes.
So can you explain it in light of birthmark?
In light of
Birthmark, people that they are born, they have certain marks already from birth.
birthmarks.
Yes.
Yeah. A birthmark can
Because
just
they
be a
come-
genetic thing.
Because they come from you talking about you have to come reincarnate in different bodies. But
Right.
what about birthmarks?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, birthmarks and reincarnation are two different things. Just because you have a birthmark doesn't mean that it's because you're someone else reincarnated. Because that's a genetic trait. You can have a genetic alteration that gives you a birthmark. You know what I'm saying?
Because I was thinking is like if somebody passed on, maybe he drowned in the water, and next time he comes back, scared of water, you don't. If another one,
Yeah, but that's a lot of ifs.
if another one maybe died in fire or something.
Yeah,
comes
but I'm
back,
saying
he
is
sees
that's
another
ifs.
man.
That's not
Yeah.
factual information. That's like opinions and I think and it's maybes. Wu-Sabat doesn't deal with like maybes and do you know what I mean? Because that's what creates a confusion. Opinions. I think this. I think that. Everyone thinks, but then it's like prove it.
Because I've heard of stories where people.
You've heard of stories, though.
no.
I'm saying that's not.
You know,
That's not a fact.
We heard about Obanji, you know, have Obanji, that somebody comes and maybe they cut one of his finger and the time they now give birth to another child,
Yeah.
came with 4 fingers.
That's genetics. That's what I'm saying. Like you can have a genetic. Let's say, for example, I'll read it for you in Man from Planet Risk. You can have a. Say you broke your arm, right? And then later on, you have a child. That child's arm's going to be weaker where you broke your arm because of genetics. It won't be like they're going to be born with a broken arm, but they will. That part where you broke your arm will be slightly weak because of the fact that you broke your arm and then you have an offspring. So I'm saying genetics will play a part in your offspring. But it doesn't mean like, because obviously there's situations in terms of your nature, like your characteristics, where you might have a child and that child behaves like your great grandma or your grandma or someone else that passed, and everyone will be looking at the child and saying, that's your grandma or that's your grandpa reincarnating. You see what I mean? But there won't be like you said, because they've got a birthmark, that means that definitely is why they got the birthmark. You know what I mean? But it's more like the genetic traits. I see 2 questions on the back. Go ahead.
Well, that's like to do with like RNA and DNA.
Exactly.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're not hearing the questions from the others.
Yeah, this is a problem with that, but
The microphone here today.
it's not. We can try it again, but we were trying that earlier on. It's not coming through. I will just rephrase what they're saying. The brother was saying that if people are born with birthmarks, that might mean that that is a reincarnation of someone. And I was explaining that birthmarks really have something to do with your DNA and RNA in terms of genetics, and not really because it's a reincarnation of someone. And then the young brother at the back, he was also just adding that that's to do with your DNA and RNA. This is why the young people, because they're more scientific based, because Wu-Sabat is a scientific doctrine. That's why we have to deal with facts, because science is about facts. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
No, I was saying what the brother was explaining is like epigenetics, the stamping of the genes.
Yes, that's right.
But the other question I was going to say...
Epigenetics definitely plays a part.
So the definition, what you're saying of reincarnation, is when they come back looking exactly the same.
No, what I'm saying is, English throws us off, because you will use a word, if you research the word, literally what the word means, it's not meaning what they're trying to convey.
What does it mean? I thought reincarnation, they come back and they could look different, but they're just coming back in a different body.
That is reincarnation.
But
but the way the word reincarnation, when you're dealing with breaking it down, re obviously means to do again.
Okay.
And then car or cardinal, where that word comes from, is to come back in the same physical body.
Okay.
That's what we're saying. Like, it's not. They will say it's to reincarnate, meaning to come back again alive in the same body. Even when they said Lazarus was raised from the dead, it's like that's impossible. There's a difference between being resurrected and being resuscitated. You know what I mean? You can be resuscitated, like people will die, but they're still alive, meaning their brain is still functioning, or their heart is still functioning. But when you look on the medical, they will say they're flatlined or they're gone. This is where people will have what they call near-death experiences, but they're not dead, because to be dead means you can't come back, right? So once the oxygen stops going to the brain, or your brain is gone and your heart stops and your bodily functions have stopped, rigor mortis starts to start to take place, which your body goes cold, because the heat that keeps you alive is the burning. Because what it is, once you take that first breath as a baby when you're born, that's when that beginning starts. When we were saying you start breathing, and that's the burning, because you're taking in oxygen and giving enough carbon dioxide. And that burning keeps going until the day that it stops, when the light goes out, because that's dealing with your solar plexus, which is carrying on the burning of breath. Right. So your heart stops, and then scientifically, the body starts to decompose. So you can't come back in that same body. So if you look at that story about Lazarus, he was gone for days before Jesus arrived. And they say that he called him to come out, and then he came out. That's not possible. But if someone is still able to be resuscitated, you can, it's like when people drown, and they come out, and you have to pump and try and get air into their lungs, and then you resuscitate them. But they will mistranslate resuscitation into resurrection, and that's part of the language. Go ahead, brother.
So with the resuscitation, am I right in saying that the solar plexus will still have to be functioning?
That's right.
Even if the heart stopped or the brain stopped, but it's the solar plexus actually that.
That's right.
We need to be functioning in order for you to resuscitate that
right.
person.
So now that's where in religion they tell you about your spirit and your soul. But they don't in Christianity, for example, until the master teacher started to explain it, because you're given two different words, and they get translated in English as spirit a lot of the times, but one is spirit, one is soul, and everyone that is walking and animated has a spirit, right? But not everyone that's walking around has a soul. So they're beings that are cold, and they're cold-blooded, and they don't have the interaction and connection with emotions, you see. So you can have stone killers and they don't feel anything, but you then have people who their palate is low, as you say, in terms of their solar plexus is dim, very dim, because they've taken on the ways or imitating other people who behave in a cold and in a way that doesn't have soul. So this is where you get devils, and then you get imitation devils, meaning that someone can become a devil by conversion, because they watch and see other people behave in a certain way and they start doing it. But deep down, their being will tell them when they're doing something like, this is not right. Their conscious will tell them, but they will still override it. Now, those beings that are devils by conversion, they can be reached and their ways can change. You see, this is where you like we said, revive that soul. And this is why even in the Bible, when it was spoken about David losing his soul, one of the things he had to do to regain his soul was to play music. Get back in tune with nature, get back into the vibes, because the vibes is what connects you. Like when you're dealing with that soul, you have a soul within you, which is the sun, and then you have a soul, a sun in the earth, and you have a sun out. All three have to align and connect for you to basically be able to move and behave with that being that has a soul, or can like move and be in tune with nature. I see you got let him finish.
Sorry, were you done with?
No, you're really good.
Yeah. Alright, I just want to build on that a step forward. So, could you break down? I need to get the scroll, but could you break down the soul, spirit? So, which soul are we talking about? Because there's two.
Good question.
Soul.
Yeah. Let me grab that, because we have a part to wrap. Most of the questions people ask, there is an actual complete book just on that one subject. So that book you're referring to is Soul, Spirit, and there's another one, 30 Spirits that goes into it. Yeah. Let me see if I can find it. But you're right. So that's something again that the master teacher taught, in terms of the fact that you have two souls and two spirits that people don't know about. But I'll give you the breakdown. There's so many. Trying to find it. But essentially, going back to the point I was making, is that because it's been mistranslated, because people that don't have a soul, they just translate everything as spirit. So to make it clear, everything is vibrating, right? Animals, trees, rocks, they all have spirits. That's what makes them alive. But a rock or a tree doesn't have a soul. A rock can't, or a tree can't like dance, for example. But it's alive because it's, got spirit. So the people that lost their spirit, their souls, if it's possible to activate them, you can wake them back up. And then that light, that's what the whole thing about people going to church and singing songs, they don't know why they're singing. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine. That's the solar plexus. Once you activate it, you start to shine. And when you look at pictures of Jesus, for example, or images of Jesus, we can find them again, or any so-called, like, you see they show you the heart, you see? And it's emanating light. I'm trying to find a better one. And that's dealing with that solar plexus. I don't know if you can see that one. They always show this light from the heart, see? Because that's what is superimposing that gland that you're calling the solar plexus. And so you can get your light, because you're a light being, an energy being, or an etheric being, once you start to turn yourself inside out and deal with the real you, not the physical you. So yeah, going back to the spirit and soul, there's this this one, soul, spirit, which answers your question. Let me just read it. It says, Likum, my beloved Nuapu Karadu, Nuapian children, you asked about the soul and the spirit. Do you know and remember all I said to you of them, and you as females and males? 3. Nuapians, I told you Ba'a. I understand to your question. Ba'a is one of the souls, and Rawa is the other one, right? Soul. And he says 4. And I spoke to you about the Ka'a, so that's one of the spirits, and Nafas, which is the other one. Nafas is the spirit. And about the ark, which is the etheric being, and the Hu, which is your oversoul. And he says, and you ask again about these parts of your existence. And he says, 1, Pahu, that's spelled K-H-U, the over being. 2, Pa-Akh, the etheric being. 3, Pa-Ba'a, the creative expression being. So that's the Ba'a, yeah? And then you said Parawa, the breath. So the breath of living. That's what I was saying before, that when a child is born, when they take that first breath, that's the start of the ignition of their breath, right? And then you have the ka, the exoplasmic being. Then you have Parnafas, the living being, and Parkatak, the physical body. So it goes on. Parhabutu, demigods that are children of Parnatharu, called angelic beings, both agreeable and disagreeable. Some were cast out from above and became known as the Nephilim, or fallen ones. They call them Elohim in the Bible and Alihat in the Quran. The agreeable ones are called Malakim, and the disagreeable ones are called Molech. They come in three groups: Milcon, 1, 2, Molech, and 3, Melech. The two most known are the disagreeable ones called Cherubim and the agreeable ones called Seraphim. And it goes on, but let me jump to where it's talking about. But so in the religious world, they translate both soul and spirit as spirit, but as you just heard, you have your emotional you. I'm trying to see if I can find a bit more of an explanation of. We might have to jump to 30 spirits for that one. I haven't forgotten you at the back either. I'm coming back to you. Let's jump to 30 spirits. So in 30 spirits, which is explaining about you. Okay, let me just read it, because you have your ancestors who become part of the 30 spirits. So it says, Likum, Ayi Marar Nuwapu, my beloved Nuwapin, females and males, young and aged. I've incarnated before you amongst you to renew our story of 24,000 years and 6,000 years of the spell of sleep of ignorance. It has become your time again to return to your true and holy nature as Natharu, to break Parake, the spell, and be born again. You, the mothers and fathers, the root race, the root Salau race of all others, Nagaru, Negroid, the civilizers of all others, and in fact the gods on earth must be raised from the Tamwat, death, right, mental death, as a mummy is raised to everlasting life. You must remember what and who you are to all others. You must bind the 30 spirits that seek to control you. The very voices of your own Salafu ancestors who lived in the image of the beast and at Tamwat death have been trapped. This is what we were saying before, right? Have been trapped in his hell. You must bind them and free them from the realm of hell, that you will be free of their whispers into your heart and a cow mind, which affects your very actions each Zaman day of your life. So it says your choice, it's influenced by the very voices and in your DNA. Right, so this is where, if you jump to verse 21, it says, and each of the 30 Ka'a'u spirits in your DNA is linked to their own 30 Ka'a'u spirits, DNA, and all the Ka'u spirits they have encountered during their own lives. So was that clear for you? So you have the two spirits. Yeah, one is Nefas, yeah, which in the Bible they call Nefish, and then you have the Ka'a, which is So you've got and then for the souls you have Ba'a, which is also a soul, but it deals with the creative and emotional you, and then you have the Rawa, which deals with the breath of life, you taking breath and breathing. Yeah? Go ahead, brother.
So are you saying that when you're trying to break the spell, you're breaking the spell of the 30 ancestors in you as well, on top of your programming?
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. A lot of people who hear voices in their head and they behave, and the actions that come out is based on what they're thinking. But they think they're the ones thinking. But the thought could be coming from one of your ancestors who is trying to relive their life through you in the physical world. So you've got the agreeable ones, you've got the disagreeable ones. The disagreeable ones are the ones that will influence you to do the things you don't really want to do or that are not good for you. And the agreeable ones are the ones that try to guide you in the right direction. And so you have this battle going on all the time, which in Islam, that term is jihad, right? Which is the battle between left and right or good and bad. But they've made that a physical battle where they go out and like, you know, blow up stuff and saying that they're fighting a jihad or a war for Allah, which doesn't make sense. But yeah, you're right. So this is why it says you have to bind the ones that are leading you in the wrong path. And the way you bind them is whenever you're doing something that you know, you actually hear your voice going, I shouldn't be doing this, and then you do it anyway. So you override it. But eventually, if you don't follow what they're influencing you to do, let's say, for example, you don't want to smoke, but you can't stop smoking because one of those ancestors keeps suggesting and making it fun for you to do it, and then you keep doing it, you're like, I want to give up, and you can't, you see. But if you do and you don't react to that suggestion, after a while it goes away, or they don't have an influence on you, so you suppress them or you bind them to the point where they can't have an effect on your life. Go ahead, young man.
This was linking to what he was going to say, my dad said, not what I was going to say before. So, does those generational cycles become cumulative if your ancestors didn't break their ancestors' cycles? That just stacks and stacks and stacks.
Yeah, this is what people term generational curses and stuff like that, because they're not breaking that chain. And that's why people will say things like, because I was speaking to someone the other day and they were like, well, we've done this for years, we've been doing this, my family's been doing this for years, so I'm doing it. I'm like, that's not helping, because you just repeat. You can't do the same thing over and over and over again and expect to have a different result. You have to change. And then, it's like, for example, if your grandma used to take, say, you to church and you didn't really like it, but then you have a child and you take the child to church, even when you know the church is not telling them the truth. And then their children go, it's never going to stop until like someone has to say, no, we ain't taking my children to church. And then give them Wu-Sabat, or give them right knowledge, and then they grow up like that. And then when they have children now, they're not going to repeat that same, do you know what I mean, cycle. So you have to break the cycles. And that's why this time period where we're living in a new 24,000 year cycle, it's about you breaking that cycle of fake information, wrong information, etc. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, how vital do you think your eating and your dietary has to do with
It's very vital, because you hear so for those who can't hear questions, the question is, how vital is it for your diet and what you eat? You hear the phrase, you are what you eat. So whatever you put into your body and your system is what you become. And you have to stop putting things into your body that are going to make you sick or have you vibrating a lower vibration.
What would you recommend a diet to consist of, like other than
live foods instead of dead foods? Because death, this is going back to the topic, die to live. Like, you know, there was a book, Eat to Live, because like you are what you eat. So if you're consuming dead flesh and dead things, and I know it's a work in progress for a lot of people. You can't just, some people don't just switch overnight. And if you did, it can actually affect you, because you have to wean yourself off, because your body's like parasites and so used to it. So, but yeah, what you would eat is live stuff. So watery things, you know, like watermelon, cucumbers. Even though avocados are hybrids, they're good for the brain. Lots of water. And learning to breathe properly. People don't do like some basic things, like make sure you clean your nose in the morning, because your nose is responsible for you taking air and oxygen and breathing. But sometimes you might have something blocking your nose. Like if you don't clean it properly, like take a bit of water in and make sure your nose is clean so you can breathe air. Yeah, anything that is not processed, you know, like leave white stuff, because a lot of white stuff is processed. So they literally take out all the nutrients from it. So that's getting rid of the rice. Rice is very starchy. You can have alternatives, and rice has a lot of starch, which turns into glucose, which is really sugar. So a lot of sugar and salt causes a lot of the problems we have. And the master actually has a part of that called diagnosis of the races, which shows you that if you look at the elders of any generation, like what they suffered with in terms of their health and related to what they eat, you will see that, for example, in our community and a lot of communities, they suffer from high blood pressure, arthritis, diabetes. This is all related to a lot of sugar intake. And as I said, rice, the glucose turns to sugar, a lot of starchy stuff. You look at the diets that we have, meats, dead meat, dead flesh, even fish. So the master says don't eat anything that has parents. So a lot of veg, fruits, that's what you should be eating. Dr. Sebi, you know, he had a lot of information about diet. It's really trying to eat as much food that's electric and it's less acidic. Yeah, but because if you look at the pH, the pH value of the things you're eating will tell you that. Wow, is that the time already? Sorry. Sorry, that's my alarm because we do the chant normally at 9. Yeah, so to answer your question, young man, you just eat as much watery stuff, things that are alive, fruit, veg. Yeah, just anything that doesn't have blood in it, as much as possible. Anything that's not dead, that is acidic. Drink lots of fluid, particularly water, because water has a balanced pH.
Just based on what the brother was asking about, where did that come from, like the diet of eating meat and all that?
That comes from the Bible, because a lot of the Bible and the Quran and these religious books talk about blood sacrifices and killing carcasses and offering it to the Lord. So it's a lot of that. This is what I'm saying, it comes from the biblical, and then the slavery also, because a lot of the foods that people are eating is food that, you know, during that time would be the bits and pieces that the slave master didn't eat and was throwing away, and then people ate that. And today people are happy to eat an oxtail, and it's oxtail and rice. It sounds nice, but when you really think about it, why are you eating the tail of an ox or cow foot or chive? You know, like these things are not things that's the worst part of, you know what I mean, if you're going to consume it. So you have to really look at the diet, because you are what you eat, as they say.
Is it possible to be high vibrational whilst eating meat and all that stuff?
It brings your vibration low, so it's better to not, because it raises your vibration. So you're right. The young man's on point. I know, I haven't forgotten about you, Yomi. We just got a lot of questions in the class. Go ahead, sis. And I know someone's waiting on Zoom as well.
In the Bible, I can't remember the verse. I think it's in Deuteronomy, where it says that there are certain meats you shouldn't eat, and there are certain meats you should eat.
Right.
So
but that's again people trying to justify it. The word meat. The first time you come across the word meat in the Bible, in fact, let's see if we can put it up. It's a misinterpretation, because it literally tells you that you should have vegetables for meat, right? And people have interpreted that as, let me find it, because sometimes when people don't see these things, all right, here we go. Like Blue Letter Bible, it's an online Bible which has all the different versions. Like you can look at the different. This is all the versions, but we just pick up the KJV, King James version, and you can search, right? So if I search for the word meat, M-E-A-T, just search for the word in the Bible, and you see, look, the first time you come across that word meat is in Genesis 1:29, and he says, and God said, behold, I have given you, listen to this carefully, every herb bearing seed, right, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So it's telling you the herbs should be for meat. But people have turned that meat into meat as in for flesh. But it literally tells you that the herbs is what you were given to eat for meat.
But it states something about you can eat. No, you're not allowed to eat two hooves or something like that. Of
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I know, but what I'm saying is, one, the Bible is not our records, it's not for us anyway. But even when we use it, and when we use it, what we're doing is we're trapping ourselves back in that spell. So we're not breaking away because we keep trying to use it to justify doing things that are not really for us. But we still have to use it for people who are stuck in it to help them come out of it. So when people say, why do you use it? Then, well, if you didn't ask me a question about it, I wouldn't use it. But people keep asking you questions about the Bible, so you have to go and break it down. But yeah, let me, there are two people who've been waiting online for a long time. Yomi, go ahead, and then I think there was a sister waiting. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, my question is basically, I'm a bit confused about the not eating meat aspect because I'm sure I read in a Partarak or one of the Master Teacher's scrolls somewhere they said fish and seafood is okay in moderation.
Okay, this is what happens with a master teacher, right? If he says, like, okay, you've seen it many times where you might say to your child, don't do this. And then they cry about it and moan about it, and then you go, all right, then just do that. That's what he does with us. He said many times he's not going to write a book for us on diet because we don't follow it anyway. Because people find any reason to justify and eat what they want to eat. So he's like, if you want to eat it, well, eat the best of it then. Like, eat white meat. Start, you know what I mean? Like, then he will still come back and say, look, don't eat anything with parents. The people will find a way to say, okay, but plants have parents. Do you know what I mean? It's like, just because they want to justify. So what he's saying is that a lot of us have been doing it for so long that you're not going to be able to just stop overnight. But if you want to get the best, then this is what you should do. But he's only giving you a guideline. And Wu-Sabat, we're not like, you must do this. It's up to you. You have to decide, right? When I say it's up to you, you have to remember that whatever decision you're making, the consequences are going to affect you. So if you choose to eat meat, well, eat it.
Okay, I hear that, but you know what I'm saying? Obviously,
but what I'm saying is
the fact, deals with fact, right?
Yeah, go on.
And the fact is that on a plant-based diet, you can't get certain amino acids and B12.
That's not true.
Not true.
That's what I'm saying. That's misinformation.
What about protein?
No, what I'm saying is...
You supplement or you miss out.
No. Do you see, this is what I mean by people justifying what they want to do, right? Meaning that, who says that? Oh, in fact, let me ask you, where do you get it from then? Where do you get it? Huh? Yeah.
Supplementation or animal-based products.
Right. Where did the animal get it from?
Animal gets it directly from plant-based sources.
See what I mean? So we're just going full circle to saying you're getting it from the animal who got it from the plant. So you might as well go straight to the plant.
We can't produce B12 and certain amino acids naturally.
No, but I'm saying there are other substitutes. It's like people saying like protein, yeah? There's a Netflix documentary called
What the hell?
Yeah. What's it called?
I've seen that.
What the hell?
No, not that one.
Not that one.
The Game Changer.
The Game Changers.
Yeah. If you watch that, that gives you such a good insight into what you're asking about. There are other supplements that you can use naturally in terms of herbs and stuff. Someone was telling me about. Have you heard of nitric oxide?
Yes.
Right. So you can take that.
What?
What is illegal?
Do you mean like the one you get from beetroot and stuff?
Yeah. Beetroot is one of the sources of it that you can get. But I'm saying there are always going to be natural herbal alternatives.
What about B12 though?
Protein.
That's protein, isn't it? But that's what I'm saying. Like you're saying you're getting the protein from the animal, but the animal's getting the protein from the leaves and the veg that it's eating. So it's back to front. You might as well go direct to the source And not only that, but what you're also getting that is not good from you from the animal, because what they feed these animals with and what they're giving them is injections and things to fatten them up, and it's blood meat. So you can't.
I hate you, but what I'm saying is, with B12, for example, if you become deficient in B12, it can lead to irreversible damage to the body. And what I'm saying is,
Everybody's body is different.
Sometimes you don't get B12 in sufficient quantities for the human body. With plant-based sources, it's very low.
No, but I'm saying, you're saying the human body, but everyone's body is different. This is what I'm saying. There's no one diet that fits all.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So you have to find what you're deficient in and why, and then you find a replacement for it. But you see, this is what happens with the whole thing with the food and diet. Why I say the master says, eat what you like. You know what I mean? In a sense where you are what you eat and what you become. So if you choose not to listen to what he's telling you, then you're going to do what you're going to do anyway. And you're going to end up with the consequences of your actions. So it's up to you. But you can actually...
Let me ask you before I go.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on supplementation then?
Okay, it depends on who you're getting it from, because a lot of these, what you call supplements, they don't actually do much for you. And they put in all of these plastic capsules and everything that actually damage you. So we're not giving you medical advice, because at the end of the day, that's down to you. You know what I'm saying? But what we're saying is that you can get alternative natural remedies, and you have herbalists and people who tell you what you can take for it. So I'm saying, go and watch that documentary if you haven't seen it already.
The Game Changer, you said,
yeah? Yeah, The Game Changer. It's on Netflix or on YouTube, you can find it. But no problem. The whole thing about diet is what we're saying, like, you have recommendations and you can follow them or not. But what people do is tell you when they stop eating meat, how they start to astral project and do a lot more spiritual things, their vibration is higher, and I can attest to that myself. So you have to speak to people who have come from where you are and find out what benefits they've got from doing that. And if that's something you want to aspire to, then that's what you do. But at the end of the day, most people wean themselves off. Like, they will stop eating meat, and they might move to like white meat, which is still as bad, but like chicken and turkey, and then, because that's less bloody and whatever. But the thing is, people say, I don't eat pork, but they'll eat chicken, and the chicken is just as bad as a pig, because it eats everything. You see, but then everyone sells chickens to the point where no one knows what chicken tastes like, because it has no taste. And they show you that in the movie The Matrix, when the guy was eating what he thought was steak, and he said, I know this is not steak, but ignorance is bliss. So he's convinced himself to think that's what he's eating is steak. But it's not only that, now there's human meat that is finding its way into many things, and what people think they're eating, what they're showing you, anything that doesn't have a bone in it, you don't know where it's coming from, because you can take meat and bleach it white and make it into a burger or into whatever, and you don't know what you're consuming. But you know, when you trace it, but yeah, a vegan diet is much healthier for you. Did someone else have? Oh yeah, there was a sister waiting. Sorry, I'm not sure who it was. I just heard the voice. So
It's me, Natina.
okay, go ahead, sis. Sorry for the wait.
Yeah, that's okay. How can I become a member of? Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that for that question.
And
go ahead.
Second question is about the language. Do you have any book you recommend so I can start learning?
Right, cool. The first question is, the first question, how can you join? We have two websites, but the United Sabians Worldwide website is here, where it says free reg. You need to click on that, excuse me, and then there's a form here. You just fill that out. It asks you a lot of questions, because as a nation, we also interested in people's like experience, skills, so you can put your CV and your documents in here to identify
Yeah.
yourself.
I work for myself.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But when you go through the form, you can fill it out. And also on our Nashat site, you can do that too, where it has join us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can click on that and fill that out. Either one.
But, yeah, but I'm in US though. I mean, the DMV area.
That's fine. Both of them go to the administration anyway, so
Okay.
yeah, then somebody will follow up and get back to you. And the second question was, what did you ask again?
The language.
Oh yeah, the language. So we encourage everyone to go to this Telegram group. Because again, on the Telegram group you have the pin message which shows you how to find and search for things in here, but you can join the language group from when you click on the name of the actual group, you get
I am.
yeah, right. So I'm just saying that for others that may want to know the same thing, if you click on links, so I clicked on if you click on links, it gives you the links to the different language group and things like that as well. So the first step is to join the language groups. The books, we do have two books. One, the main book, which if you can get hold of it, is here we go. This one here is called The Language of Time.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can get hold of that, The Language of Time. It's quite a thick book and it covers everything with the language.
Okay.
And then we have smaller ones called Book 1, Book 2 and Book 3, which are again, some of our books, you know, they sell out very quickly, so, but yeah, this is called Miss Batia Made Easy, if you can see that.
Okay, Miss Batia.
And that's, it has that book 1, 2 and 3, so that's another series of books that you can get hold of.
Miss Batia Make It Easy?
That's correct, yeah. And if you can't remember, just ask again in the Telegram group and we will, yeah.
No, I wrote all of them, so.
Okay. Yeah, and on that note, I want to, thank all the people that have been contacting me regarding the project I'm doing, the 100 project. And if you haven't been contacted yet, everyone should have been, but if you haven't, it may be because when you filled out your form, the number you put in, if you're, say, from America, you didn't put the area code, so it's hard to call you back because we have to figure out which part of America you're in, but you should have received an email. And yeah, there are people I haven't got back to, but that's something that we're working on and we will do. So yeah, be patient, but it's going great. I want to thank everyone that is, you know, getting involved with that, because at the end of the day, the question you've just asked, for me, is one of the most important ones. Is like, how do I become a part? How do I learn the language? These are the things that are going to help us transform, because the master did say that learning the language will solve most of our problems. I think something like 90-95% of our problems will be solved learning the language. The second one, in terms of joining, means that you're not just reading and talking, it's about building, and you want to be a part of the solution. So yeah, we all have to put our energies, our heads and everything together to solve our problems, and one of the most important things is the master teacher's freedom, and there is a petition which I'm going to post. Let me just find
I want to be a student teacher, so that's
fantastic.
That's my goal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so here we go. This is the link I want to share. So there's a petition on change.org. We just need some more signatures, where you can just, it takes 2 seconds to just sign and fill out this petition. People say sometimes, well, it's a waste of time, but we have to, any avenue, any angle, we have to explore when it comes to being a master teacher. So this is just one of them.
Alright.
People that say that how can I help? Again, you can just go on the website. Oh yeah, that's another very important point. If you go on the United Sabians Worldwide website and type in, sorry, my computer's playing up. How can I help? How can I help? I missed out the I. How can I help? You can search it, but I know the actual link, so I've just typed it in. But if you type how can I help, it will open up this page, how can I help, free will offering, and there's only one avenue, which is the acts of kindness donate at outlook.com, where you can even just hit the PayPal or use the details on screen to help. You can help in many ways. It's not always about monetary support, although that helps as well. But yeah, you can help by being a good representation of Wu-Sabat, applying what you're learning, and help by donations, free will offerings, shall I say. We're building, many things at the moment for, like the Sanctuary Yanun and many things that we're engaged in that people can get involved with. So, yeah, so thanks for those good questions. Any other questions as we have 15 minutes left before we close? And that can be a lot of information sometimes. We don't want to overwhelm you, but there is a lot to learn. And yeah, go ahead, brother.
Alright, so going back to the spirit and the soul thing.
Yeah.
So after we cross over, our spirit is passed on to the next generation, right? In that respect, like, so for example, I've got 30 spirits of my ancestors. When they passed, their spirit sort of came into my being, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just trying not to interrupt you so you can get the question.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to understand what happens with your soul then.
Right. So you have to look at it like when it's your DNA, right? Your DNA is what makes who you are, and you have many aspects of your being which makes up your matrix. So when you're saying that they came into you, you're connected to them at the same time in terms of your ancestors. So you sitting here today, you're a product of the 4 generations going backwards, right? So you come from your mum and dad, and then your mum and dad's mum and dad, which would be your grandparents, and then their parents, which is your great grandparents, right? So all of that DNA is in you, and by way of their influences in you affect you. So this is why when we're looking at the 30 spirits, even though we're saying 30, really you have to subtract the ones that are still alive. So you have to subtract yourself. So then it becomes 29. Yeah. Now each one of those has their own 30 that influence them. So when you're leaving here, the spirit and the soul travel together, right? The soul is the real you, right? Which is tied to the etheric you, which we mentioned here when we said that we call that the arc, yeah? The etheric being, which is tied to your oversoul. So there is a separation that can take place if you haven't built up enough vitality, if you can call it that, yeah, to help you travel. So in ancient Egypt, they used to perform a ceremony called the opening of the mouth ceremony, which they would channel that energy to Orion or to the direction where they're traveling to. Because remember, you're really a light being. So when we take off the physical body, the skin suit that goes back to the ground, then your spirit and your soul, they travel together, and the spirit will propel the soul to as far as it can go for you to go back. Now, as we go up the realms, we still try to think of the other realms with us in their physical body. You see, so it can be confusing. But the best way is to look at, let me see if I can show you the picture of an Ethereum. An Ethereum, or your pure energy being, it's like there's a depiction to show you, but to answer your question, it's about if you don't have a soul, then you can only go to a realm, the spirit realm. Because if you start to look at the realms, you've got the physical realm, which is the lowest vibration, then you've got the spiritual realm, then you have the soul realm, then you have the mental realm, and then you go on to the ether realms, and then you become one with Pa'ot or Ord, as we say in English, right? So they all work hand in hand together, and I'll just read a little bit from that soul spirit bit.
If you could find a picture and show me as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a picture of anything to show you now. But the point is that it's your soul that really goes back and travels back to being with one with Pa'ot, or all expanding. So hold on, let me just find it. So in this scroll, Man from Planet Risk, there you go. Right, if you look on page 110, for those who may have it, can you see that? I'll pass it to you in a minute, let me just show you. Right, so, yeah, I used that one, that one's better. Right, so this is just an example of what an Ethereum will look like. Now, you have the elders, like the Riskians, and that's one of them, who a lot of people talk about, Metatron. And so this is what you're trying to achieve at the highest state. And Ethereum is a pure energy being that can actually come back. If it has the leave, it can come back and slow its vibration down. Just like if you take water, right? So water in its dense, the most dense form is ice, but ice can be melted into a liquid, and the same liquid can be heated up to gas and then goes back. But people be like, where's it gone? Because it disappears, but it's still there. It's just going into the etheric world, and you're the same as a being, where you've come from that world. When how you came is when your mother and your father were engaged in a sexual act. When your father ejaculated, if you study how it works, it goes from the testicles, and that energy travels up to the crown chakra and gets ignited and receives that energy in the sperm. And that's the spark that comes back down and gets inserted into your mother's womb. And then that's a pure energy being that's growing in her womb. She then grows that being. The light being is attracting all the bacteria around it, which she's breathing in from taking in the air, the oxygen. The dust that she takes in. This is why a lot of females will have sinus problems when they're pregnant. But all that bacteria and everything starts to build, where you're going from a being that was pure energy as density that becomes matter to come into this realm, right? That matter, because you're going from density to matter to atoms, right? Because the atoms are the building blocks of life, and those atoms then become cells, yeah. And this is all taking place. She's the being she's the goddess that is growing. The cells then start to form what you call bodies or organs. Let's start with the organs first. So the neuron, melanin will form the brain, and then the heart, then the liver, all those organs are being formed as you're growing, and then the body's formed, and then the baby's born out. But that baby's containing that energy that came down. And the spirit and the soul come from the mother and the father. So the mother gives the spirit and the father gives the soul. There's a recent update, I think it might be the one I mentioned before, the heart. So the two of them give you the spirit and the soul. Now, the spirit and the soul could be recycled. Now, this is what we're saying, like, the portion that is coming through your mother and your father may be coming through their mother and father and going back in the generations, and then that comes and forms that new being. But you're going to draw that energy if it's a supreme being. That's why the whole purpose of having children in the Bible and stuff and the scriptures was about procreation. It wasn't just about, oh, we're just having sex for the sake of it. There were times and energies to pull these energies of these new beings that are being born, so that the two people coming together are going to be supreme beings that are going to birth supreme beings as children, so that they come here for a purpose. But unfortunately, a lot of the time when people got pregnant, it was either through just lust, or they're just like, do you know what I mean, in a club or something, and they meet someone and boom, they just. So there is a science to, there's a science, I see you at the back, there's a science and the art of sex as it's put. So I'm going to read to kind of answer what you're asking. So if I go to verse 15, what you become after birth. Oh, this is from 30 Spirits, right? What you become after birth. What you accepted as you grew. What you believe you want as opposed to what you need. 18. Your inner voices who whisper to you only wish to fulfill their lifelong desires with your jasad, or your flesh, your body. 19. To lust their lust, to pleasure as they wish to be pleased by any and all. 20. They seek to use your frame for their own use, even unto your death. So 21. And each of the 30 Ka'al spirits in your DNA is linked to their own 30 Ka'al spirits DNA, and all the Ka'al spirits they have encountered during their own lives. 22. How they subdivide into legions, because if you read Mark 5:8, it tells you that. For he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. 9. And he asked him, what is thy name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. That's a whole verse, you can read all that, but it's talking about when you're saying legions, where you get the word religions, the legions of spirits are within people. And it says 23, and when the unclean Ka'al spirit are gone out of you, you only have one voice and good whispers of your ancestors. Yeah, so yet take not up into you more spirits more wicked than your own. Then it goes on Matthew 12 verse 43 to 45, where he's talking about the unclean spirit, because a lot of people have unclean spirits as well. So like, you have spirit that you're born with, you have spirits that inhabit your being, that you collect. This is why people say you have to be careful who you're around, who you touch, what you do, because you can take on these unclean spirits that are on the planet. So it says, when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Then he saith, I will return into my house. That's the whole quote of Matthew 12, 43 to 45. I won't read all of it, but it goes on to say, verse 25, all one's life, these evil spirits can have their way, mess up their lives, and hinder their learning by erasing the memory in the subconscious mind, making it seem hard to learn. Right? Because you hear people, sometimes they find it hard to learn. It says, hard to learn, to remember, destroying your life, leading you to drugs, drinking, smoking, sex, crying, to lying, to stealing, and to killing, making you live by danger, chance, gamble, giving you diseases and sickness, making you think you're mad, crazy, and insane. 27. And there are also walkings that are eternal links and transfers from one person to another by many means other than sex. Can't find the bit where. So let me jump to 29. It says 29. Why? Because once it is yours, you send out your etheric rays from your solar plexus becomes a part of you, and the same for each person to each his own. So jump to 32. Your inner ancestors will protect you once you open up to them and speak with those good in your DNA who have transformed from flesh and blood to spirit and ether. 33. Nuapians, you have made that link with your ancestors who only seek to guide your lives in the best way and to protect you from the whispers of the legions of spirits, beings trapped in lower realms trying to use you for their own pleasures, and then cause you to kill your body so they can take your soul, your ba'a, and then do these inner wicked dawi, jawed, ka'al, evil wicked spirits speak to your heart. It says yes. Read Luke 4:32 to 35. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for his word was with power. And in the synagogue there was a man which had a spirit of an unclean devil, and cried out with a loud voice, saying, "Let us alone. What have we to do with thee?" You can read the whole of that part. I'm jumping because of time. So it says, yes, they speak to you. You know right from wrong. They will even speak through other people to you. Yeah. Here, have a drink, drugs, and not, and just suggestion. Not evil. They are from nature, herbs. Come, go to this party or this club with me. Let's go to the beach today. Here, try this one. Try this on. Drive faster. Let's join the army. Let's join a gang. Let's go here. Let's go there. So all of these voices you're hearing, and they say, try this. It won't hurt you, and so on and so on. And it says, Shakasu, people, Sadaku, friends, relatives, advertisements, all speaking to you to lead you to do what they want until you will be doing it on your own. Jump. So Wu-Sabat breaks the spell and gives you freedom from fear of their ghost, God, Allah, and fear of their hell. If you don't obey their religious opinions, it returns you to yourself, free of their spell of ignorance, free of their laws, rituals, holidays, etc., etc. There's a bit I'm trying to find where talking about where how the soul and the spirit depart. Can't find it. I don't know if I'm looking in the wrong scroll, but basically, to go back to the original question, is that you have all types of spirits that you can get rid of that are not your spirit, yeah, and then your spirit and your soul will be traveling together, and then they break off. It's kind of like when you see a rocket being launched, and it gets to a certain atmosphere, and then it drops and then floats on. So that's what happens with your soul. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can come back when you're in that state of transition where you hear people say that they saw like a white light, and that light is what we call a portal or gateway that brings you right back here. So if you read Pagatot, we run out of time, but if you read Pagatot, which is the actual fact, it explains the Stargate. Yeah, it explains about how you end up coming back here to repeat the cycle. Sorry, who's that? Did somebody want to say something? Okay, I think that was. So yeah, any last burning questions? I think did you have a question, gentlemen?
No, I was more like saying with the, I think you said procreation, would that like be linking to like eugenics of the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the head Manakai's gone. Is that all said? With the dome on
Yeah,
top?
that's who they call Seer, but many names. He's known by Osiris, Asar.
Yeah, so they've got the all sex society.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Like, people can take on all kinds of titles and all kinds of names that don't belong to them, or they're not that being.
Do you know of them though?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we know of everyone because we've studied everyone. We question.
So what is your view on it? Because I used to be part of the all sex society, and they do good to basically cleanse you from those dark spirits by giving you a breakdown of what it actually looks like in your personality, which most people don't do that.
What do you mean? What do I think of them? Like, it's not really about my opinion, to be honest.
Because he's got all seer there.
Yeah, because he is the incarnation of Osiris.
But why would he be the only one in comparison to any?
Because of the works. Like, you don't, like, you can call yourself whatever you like, but if you don't do anything to prove or show that you are that being, then how can you be that
I don't know,
being?
because I don't know. All I heard about it that there was some sexual abuse between him and females, which is
You're just jumping around now because you've gone from Osiris to
No, because
the allegations of.
That's what I'm saying to you. When I heard about him,
Yeah.
which is going back into the 90s,
Yeah.
I didn't.
What
follow
did you hear about him?
When I asked about where he is, which is America,
I know,
he's in
but I'm
America.
saying you said in the 90s.
Not 90s, sorry, 2002 when I saw the shop
Yeah.
in Brixton. So his books were there, and his face was all over all the books.
Right.
So I asked where he was.
Because he's the writer of the books.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm just saying
Okay, yeah.
his face is all over the books.
Yeah.
But all the books are generally, when I see books, it's not one person's face on the books, just
But if you're the author of the book,
afraid to cover.
no, if you're the author of the book, you have, like most books, if you look at any book, on the back of the book, they'll have the author's picture and like a biography or a little breakdown. About
Yeah.
it. But I don't, is there a question? Because you
No,
went
because
from
you-
Osiris to the allegations and then now pictures in the book. So I'm
Yeah,
trying to
so-
follow what your question really
The
is.
question is that is he the savior? He's the savior is different because the savior seems linked to Messiah, Jesus.
No, a savior is someone who's come to save you or that saves you. So people
He's
make
not in
it.
England, so I don't know him to have that contribution in my life compared.
What
that's
contribution?
His personal work didn't help me in England.
Of course
It wasn't-
can.
it wasn't that-
We've got all these books upstairs that you can
No.
read.
That's too late for that. I'm talking about when I was growing up here. It wasn't
Yeah,
that. It was the All Seer Sex Society talking about All Seer.
Okay,
So he's
but
got
what
All
I'm
Seer
saying is,
hat on.
what is your question? Because I'm not going to.
Right. So actually, is he the headgear? Is
Yeah.
that All Seer in the image of All Seer? He's got the headgear on. Because that's
Yeah,
what I know.
but I'm
All
saying
Seer
he's
Society.
he's a reincarnation of who people are calling Osir or Asar.
Okay.
But I'm saying he performed that ceremony, right, which was done on Tamaray, which had never been done for 10,000 years. And there was no one that did that to reenact this period that we're in, because it was about bringing in this sun cycle. And I'm saying anyone can have their names, like many people can call themselves Asar or Seer or whatever, but you have to then study who that being is and what did they do and what are they supposed to do when they're here. And I'm saying to you, he's the only one that is doing that.
Okay. So what year did he start then?
Start what?
His work. You said he did the work to earn that.
Okay.
What year was that?
If you're studying any of the scriptures,
No, this is the first time I come to this class.
no, but I'm saying before you came here, you used to study something,
No,
right?
I didn't.
You didn't.
I
You
went
never
into the
studied
store
anything.
and I saw all his books.
Which
then
store?
there was All Eyes in Egypt, 2002.
In Brixton,
Yeah.
right?
So there's books on other issues, other people as well, not just Malachi.
All the books you've seen here that I'm quoting are from Malachi, Dr. York,
I know.
right?
But the All Seer Set Society,
I know, yeah,
that
but I'm
had
saying,
it.
but what's the Osir Set Society got to do with us?
I'm
I
bringing
mean, there's
up-
an organisation out there, and they like many organisations that talk about Egyptology and teach about Egypt and stuff,
Yeah.
but they've never really lived or reenacted the culture.
Are you sure?
Okay, where is it? I mean, you can see the pictures, Tamaray of Egypt of the West, that the master teacher reenacted and built. I can put it up on the screen now. If you type Tamaray. But the point is, we're not really we're not here to talk about like what other organisations.
No, it's about the symbol he's got in his head. That's what
Yeah, but the symbol is because he is
you haven't
Osiris.
told us what that is. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but you're not going to learn that now in 2 minutes because we've just come to the end of
any more
class.
questions? I'm asking that
I
question.
know, but I'm saying to you, yeah, sis, if you want to get to learn and know who he is as a being, as the reincarnation of who you're calling Osiris, right? You have to read the works and like study and find out who he is. I mean, like we're literally at the end of class, so it's kind of hard. But this is called the Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti. Yeah, if you read that, it will give you a full. Someone keeps trying. I think someone's trying to say something. A full breakdown. Most of the, in fact, you want me to do it, I might as well do it. A full introduction, and I know people want to go home. This is the last part, right? If you read this, just the introduction, I'll read here. It explains to you that author's note. I have devoted my visit to this planet to the resurrection of the mentally dead, which I affectionately refer to as mummies. Never did I know that the evil one had done such a great job with these people, with both mentally and physically, and to have them hate self-kind. And then he goes on, and then he says here, I'm just going to jump because of time. So I, the Supreme Grand Halfan Amanubira Akatar, as I am known throughout the mystical schools, the incarnation of Tahuti, thought, student of the Great Tomb, known as Atumre, the first point of resurrection, and it goes on, and you will get to see that he is that Asar, right, that you're talking about, that people are going to claim and say they are, but then they don't have the credentials or the information, or don't really do anything to prove that they are who they say they are, but he does. And I'm saying maybe next class, because this is your first class, if you come back next class, because obviously we've gone over time by 10 minutes already, and you've asked that question right at the end. But I was saying, if you search Hammurabi, Egypt of the West, right, you will see that ceremony that you're talking about when it was being performed on our land, Egypt of the West, right, where he first, that picture you're looking at, where that came from, Egypt of the West.
What ceremony was it? What's the name of that ceremony? Is it the Magaraj?
That's when he opened the Magaraj after, yeah. But this is Osiris ceremony. This is the picture you're looking at here. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was the actual ritual, and we
picture
were
is
there.
The one at the bottom left.
Oh goodness, it's gone into something else. But anyway, I'm gonna next class. If you come back, we will go into. It's the one on this side. Can you see it?
Oh, okay, yeah. Shecken's got one of those.
Yeah, actually it's over there as well in the bottom corner. Right, so there. So we can go into that next week, but I'm saying there are many organisations out there that do whatever they do. We're not here to like put them down or anything like that, but if people feel that they're the ones that have a solution for them or whatever, they can go and follow them, because we're not really like it's just like someone saying that Jesus, a Christian person saying Jesus is the way and the one they're going to follow. We say, go and follow them.
No, you're doing a comparison, because that's where you put all of those in there.
We're not doing a comparison. We sister, I'm going to have to like really end because we've got to go, right? But we're not doing a comparison. What we're saying to you is we've studied all of those schools, right? And we take what they teach to a higher level. Right. But you'll only know that if you actually know what they teach and study what they teach and what they're supposed to be saying is going to happen in the future, which they're not saying that. They're not telling you about what's going to happen in the future because they don't have that information.
Yeah.
And we are, because the master teacher is the one that most of these groups and people are trying to emulate. That's why I started off from the beginning saying the Black Messiah is here, right? For anyone who really wants to really know and wants to find out what that means. So all these
it's
other...
on your website, yeah?
Yes, the United Savings is right there, look. We can go into much more detail next week if you want about that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to read that because, you know, I didn't know you'd have the Osirian.
Alright.
Yeah.
see that whole kid
I
is
was
called
part of
it's
the
called
Musaic
a
Society,
namuz,
that's why.
yeah. But I'm saying we've run out of time, but we're definitely gonna cover that for you if you come back next week. But there's the flow. You see all the stuff he's holding and what he's wearing. There's a lot of meaning and a breakdown to it. That's what I'm saying. Anyone can just wear clothes, but it doesn't make you who you like. I can put a doctor's white coat on and say I'm a doctor. Doesn't make me a doctor. I can start cutting people up, but I'm not a qualified doctor. I'll end up in jail. So I'm saying people can fake the funk and wear the clothes, but then when you start to go into the details of who they really are, you get to the truth, and you find out a lot of them are faking the funk because they're not the ones
That's
that.
why I said I need to see your website.
Yeah, they're not the ones that have been sent to do this job. On that note, folks, I know it's getting late. I want to thank everyone for your patience and for coming. And yeah, definitely keep studying and keep coming back so you can get to learn more about Pana Babianun and why he's there and what he's doing, changing the lives of many people and what it means for your life. But I want to thank everyone for coming. Until next week, Tawakum Wadu.
Wadu.